Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is Benchmark Radio. Today is Tuesday, the 14th of January, and today we are going over Proverbs 7 and 8, which comes right after the ones that we did yesterday of Proverbs 5 and 6. So, would you open your Bibles with me and go to that? So, Proverbs is right after Psalms, and then it's right before, pretty sure it's right before Ecclesiastes in the Bible. So, I'm going to be reading out of the NIV version. And this is chapter 7. Warning against the adulterous woman. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Keep my commands and you will live. Guard my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and to insight, you are my relative. They will keep you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman within her seductive words. At the window of my house, I looked down through the lattice. I saw among the simple. I noticed among the young men a youth who had no sense. He was going down to the street near her corner, walking along in the direction of her house. At twilight, as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in, then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and with crafty intent. She is unruly and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares, at every corner she lurks. She took hold of him and kissed him, and with a brazen face she said, Today I was fulfilled my vows, and I have food from my fellowship offering at home. So I came out to meet you. I looked for you, and have found you. I have covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of love till the morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. My husband is not home. He has gone on a long journey. He took his purse filled with money, and he will not be home till full moon. With the persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. All at once he followed her, like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping into a noose, till an arrow pierced his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it would cost him his life. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Do not let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths. Many are the victims she has brought down. Her slain are a mighty throng. Her house is a highway to the grave, leading down to the chambers of death. That was chapter 7. Now on to chapter 8. Wisdom's call. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? At the highest point along the way where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Beside the gate leading into the city, at the entrance, she cries aloud. To you, O people, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. You who are simple, gain prudence. You who are foolish, set your hearts on it. Listen, for I have a trustworthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. My mouth speaks what is true. For my lips detect wickedness. All the words of my mouth are just. None of them is crooked or perverse. To the discerning all of them are right. They are upright to those who have found knowledge. Choose my instruction instead of silver, knowledge rather than choice gold, for wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. I, wisdom, dwell together with prudence. I possess knowledge and discretion. To fear the Lord is to hate evil. I hate pride and arrogance, evil behavior, and perverse speech. Counsel and sound judgment are mine. I have insight, I have power. By me kings reign, and rulers issue decrees and are just. By me princes govern, and nobles all who rule on earth. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. With me riches are and honor, enduring wealth and prosperity. My fruit is better than fine gold. What I yield surpasses choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness along the paths of justice, bestowing a rich inheritance on those who love me and making their treasuries full. The Lord brought me forth as the first of his works, before his deeds of old. I was formed long ages ago at the very beginning, when the world came to be. When there were no watery depths, I was given birth. When there were no springs overflowing with water. Before the mountains were settled in place, before the hills, I was given birth. Before he made the world or its fields or any of the dust of the earth, I was there when he set the heavens in place. when he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above and fixed securely the fountains of the deep, when he gave the sea its boundary so the waters could not overstep his command, and when he marked out the foundations of the earth. Then I was constantly at his side. I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in his presence, rejoicing in his whole world, and delighting in mankind. Now then, my children, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Listen to my instruction and be wise. Do not disregard it. Blessed are those who listen to me, watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. For those who find who find me find life and receive favor from the Lord. But those who fail to find me harm themselves. All who hate me love death. So that was chapters 7 and chapter 8 of Proverbs. That's the reading. I'm just going to touch on a few key points. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. So my first point is that in verses 1 and 2 of chapter 7, it says, treasure my commands, write them on the tablet of your heart. To me, that means that the tablet of your heart is like the stone, the rock, the thing that you carry around for things that you need to remember. And so treasure my commands, that means you need to sit there and you need to read and first know God's commands, but then you also need to treasure them. And it's not just something that you can sit there and say, oh yeah, I know I'm supposed to do this. I feel when he says treasure on the tablet of your heart, that means something very sacred, that you should sit there and make it a part of you and really make it a diligent to have those keys around you so that you can remember what he treasures and what he commands. Secondly, all who were slain by her were strong men. That's in verse 26. That just jumped out at me because it says all who were slain by her were strong men. And to me, that means that everyone, like the men and women, when you come into temptation, but everybody is strong and everybody has attributes about them that they're able to conquer things. But he could have said that they were weak men or they were feeble-minded men or they were dumb men. But he makes a point to say that these were strong men. These were men that knew what to do, knew the right thing to do, knew which road to take, were doing all the right things. I equate strong men to being very high up in society, having a good family, having a good job in today's standards, and things of that nature. And it's very enlightening for him to say that the ones who were slain by her were the strong men. It's not like, oh, it was the dumb men or the slow men or these certain category. It was the top of the men that were slain by her. So he's saying that nobody is above falling into this sin, and this can happen to everybody. So regardless of where you are in any stage of your life, or whether you're high or low or whatever the case may be, you're susceptible to this sin that you could fall into. And then it says in verse 10, knowledge rather than gold. That just struck out to me because I don't know. Well, let me rephrase that. This is supposed to apply to your daily life. And I feel that knowledge rather than gold talks about how you can sit here and chase money or chase certain things. But Jesus is saying that if you know he's making an equation here where his knowledge and the teachings that he teaches are more valuable than anything of this world. I think that's what that means. You can equate it to your daily life and be all philosophical about it and say that I would rather be at a job where I'm learning rather than one where I'm making money, because then that increases my personal brand or my personal thing. I think that's separate. That's something that people can dive into. But right here for this purpose, he's saying that his knowledge and his teachings are more important and a higher value than anything that this world has to offer. And so that's important. And then lastly, some things that says Jesus' knowledge has taken many examples to high places. In chapter 8, when he says, princes were princes and, nobles could rule and kings were, ruling and things like that. It directly says that Jesus' knowledge has taken many of these high up characters to these high places. So he's just trying to equate that his knowledge and his guidance has led people to these certain high places. And it's not saying that if you follow him, you're going to be president of the United States or anything high up in worldly standard. But it says that if you do this, your standard of life will be at a higher level than others who don't read into this word. And then in verses 34 to 36, it says, if you find God, you find life. And if you find sin, sin belongs to death. And so it's just a great example of how you find God, you find life. He's just laying it all out right there. I don't really need to explain that one, but that's that. So lastly, I just want to conclude with some actions. We read the passage, short and sweet. We talked about some key points from it. And now just some actions that you can go after this podcast into your daily life is that at first you need to know Jesus' commands and his teachings. It's very straightforward. Read his book, look at the 10 Commandments, and the more that you just read the Bible, you will understand many different things that he says and how you can apply them to your life. But first, you just need to know his stance on different situations that come up in your life. Secondly, when you encounter sinful decisions, make the choice Jesus' knowledge has taken people to high places. And when you encounter the sinful decisions, you need to remember what he has taught and what he has commanded in his teachings, and realize that he directly correlates sin with death, and he directly correlates his teachings with high places. And this is not some big grand philosophical thing that we're learning today. It's more just you need to know what he says. If you want to be a follower of Jesus, you need to know it's not a free-for-all. You need to live by certain rules. You need to know the rules that you can live by, and then you need to expect them, and you need to realize where they're happening, and you need to know that it can happen to anybody. Don't think that you're immune just because you're rich, just because you're a teacher or whatever you are. Nobody is immune to the problems of sin. And then lastly, Jesus' knowledge has taken people to high places, and you need to realize that it's a good thing to be following this because it will bring prosperity to your life. So there we go. Proverbs chapters 7 and 8 on this Tuesday, January 14th. Hope everybody's having a great day. Tune in tomorrow for the next Bible reading.